bit of technology for us. I just think 12 months ago, it would have seemed unfathomable that we would have been here all in one room on this bit of technology gathering. But it's a good thing that we can do this, so welcome. For those of you I have not met, I have recognised some faces there today, but my name is Ryan Jones. I'm a guide dog mobility instructor here at Guide Dogs New South Wales ACT, and I'm also going to be your MC for today, just hosting the event and keeping things moving along. Now, I think you've all been put on mute by Sam, but if you haven't, you'll see a little microphone down the bottom. You just click on that. That will put you on mute. There is going to be some chance to have a chat as well, so you can always unmute yourself a little bit later, but if we can all keep on mute while everyone's talking, we'll just minimise that background noise. Before we start today, I just want to formally start off by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands and waters on which we all live and work, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to acknowledge any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander peoples who may be present at this event today. So, big day today, big event. We're going to be hearing from some very special members of the Guide Dogs family, including our CEO, Dale Cleaver. We got one of our terrific clients, Liz. She's joined by her wonderful guide dog, Poppy. We got General Manager of Planned Giving, Sally Biles. Our Puppy Development Manager, along with our vet, Dr. Carolyn Moser, and it's Karen Hayter, our Puppy Development Manager. We have Operations Manager at the Guide Dog Centre, Mr. Eddie Sullivan, and of course, me as your host. Before we kick off, I'd like to acknowledge and thank my colleagues from the fundraising, marketing and IT teams who have helped organise today's event and are in the room with us today. So a big thanks to Alison Kershaw, Elizabeth Howard, Donna Oxley, Sam Moffat, Sarah Watts and Alex Pantatis. Thank you for all your help in making today's event possible. So, we've all talked about how the mute function works. If you are having any sort of technical issues, we want you to use the chat function down the bottom. If there's three little dots down the bottom of your screen, if you click them, you can select chat, and we've put the phone number of Alex in there. You can give him a call if you're having any issues. We'd also like to use that chat function if you've got any questions at all along the way. So if somebody's talking and you think, I got a question, put it down in that chat function and I will keep an eye on that and I'll make sure I get those questions out to the relevant person. So, I don't know about you, I'm excited to get into my morning tea box. So I know a few of you have already started ripping into those, but if you haven't, I encourage you to do that. I was particularly impressed with Gordon with his cup and saucer for his tea. But let's get going. We're going to start off with a bit of a talk from our CEO, Mr. Dale Cleaver. Over to you, Dale.
Thanks, Ryan, and a very good morning to everyone. For those of you who may not know me, my name's Dale Cleaver, and as Ryan said, I'm very proud to be the CEO of Guide Dogs New South Wales ACT. Ryan, you might be interested to know, not only being our great MC for these types of events, he's actually one of our star guide dog mobility instructors as well as his day job. So it's great to actually have him here today hosting it. I am so pleased that I'm able to be here with you today as an introduction. Obviously a little disappointed because I love seeing you all in person, but still a wonderful opportunity to connect with you online. I just want to acknowledge the great team that I work with who've been busy getting those lovely boxes and those puppies out to you. So I just want to acknowledge their hard work in that regard. These things still take a little bit to plan and to organise. So congratulations to Sally and to Sam and everyone else in the Planned Giving team who've been really behind this event today. So this event is really all about you. We can't thank you enough as our supporters of Guide Dogs. As you may not be aware, without your support, we couldn't do the work we do. Before I go on, I might just remind you that, as Ryan mentioned, if everyone could stay on mute during today's session as well. And as Ryan said, there'll be some opportunity for chatting along the way. And there is the chat function, which I like to use a lot, which you can actually commentate as we go along. Many of you may not be aware, but Guide Dogs is supported by the community in New South Wales and the ACT. So close to 90% of our regular annual income comes from supporters like you. And without that, we couldn't do it.
Forget about all that.
I'll go on. I think someone's just hasn't worked out their mute, but I'm sure we'll be able to help them do that. At Guide Dogs, our mission is to provide the best possible outcomes and to support those people with low vision and blindness to ensure they achieve their goals and, importantly, are independent safely, but also connect with each other and the community. That's what we're all about. I'm really proud of the work that we actually do across the state. And the people we support range from early interventions such as children, right through to the end of life for people and everywhere in between. And we do have quite a large client base in Guide Dogs here in New South Wales and ACT. Today, you're also going to hear from some wonderful people who are going to talk about the core work we do, which is about our guide dogs. You're going to hear from our veterinary, our expert, who's renowned across not just Australia, but is recognised globally as well. And of course, you're going to also hear from those involved in our puppy raising, and you're going to hear from one of our clients as well as supporters, Liz, and her dog Poppy will be with us as well. Once again, Liz is wonderful in supporting guide dogs and often attends and speaks on some of her personal experience of being a client and what that's actually meant for her. So a big thank you also to Liz. This morning, we want to celebrate particularly your kindness to us and to our clients, and to let you see into a little bit of what we do with the support that you give us. So it's also a great opportunity to meet some other like-minded people online. And isn't this a wonderful way to also do it when we can't actually meet face-to-face? And I can say that I meet many of you, talk with many of you, and I'm always overwhelmed by just the passion and the dedication that you give to our organisation, allowing us to make a difference to the lives of people with low vision and blindness. Obviously, one of the big ways that people make a difference to Guide Dogs New South Wales ACT is by making a gift in their will to the organisation and to its clients. So in that regard, I want to sincerely thank each and every one of you for your generosity, your dedication to our work, and I hope that today you get a little glimpse of the impact that your support and others before you have given to our organisation, which allow us to do the work that we actually do. So we have a lot to do, we have a lot of needs, and I'm sure over the next 5, 10 to 15, 20 years, our important work will need to continue. So I want to just thank you again for your support. I hope you've loved the boxes that this team have got out to you. They're pretty impressive, and those puppies are as well. And that's just a little signal from us. We'd love you to see our puppies in real life. Hopefully we'll get back to that soon. But in the meantime, that's a little thank you from us to you. I'll now pass back to Ryan. And just to let you know, I will be leaving shortly. I have a number of different meetings today, including with our board. So I just want to say once again, thank you. And thank you to my wonderful team for hosting and organising this and all the work behind the scenes. Ryan, thank you. And over to you again.
Thank you, Dale. I have to say, I think our little meeting here sounds a bit more fun than the board meeting, but all the best with that anyway. And yeah, I do hope we will be able to catch up with all you supporters in person sometime soon. But it's amazing we got the technology to connect and do this, even though we can't be together in person. We can even take you inside our Guide Dog Centre in Glossodia, which is what our next guests are about to do. They're going to give you a bit of an update on some of our wonderful puppies and give you a bit of an insight into the journey and which they're about to embark. So we've got Dr. Carolyn Moser, our vet who Dale referred to, and our puppy development manager, Karen Hayter. They're standing by ready to join us today live from the Guide Dog Centre in Glossodia. These ladies are great fun. So thanks for being here this morning, Caroline and Karen. How's the weather in Glossodia? I think I saw some blue skies out there before.
Hey Ryan, yeah, it is blue skies, but we've actually
they've stopped my video.
Cool. You've got to put your video on there. Sorry there, Carolyn, I'll just interrupt. We've just lost your video there, and we certainly want to be able to see the puppies. So are we able to switch that video back on?
Yeah, I can't turn it back on. Someone's turned it off on mine.
Are you there, Sam? Are you able to switch that video back on for them?
There we go.
There we go. Yes, we've got puppies. All right, crisis averted. Thank goodness for that.
You don't look at us, you just want to see the puppies.
No, that's exactly right. I wasn't too concerned about you guys.
Yeah, the weather, it is sunny, but there is there's a bit of cloud coming over, and we're a little bit worried that it was going to rain. So we've set up inside. We were hoping initially to have all these guys outside in our enrichment area because it is so lovely. We've got an enrichment area that was funded by Elizabeth McDonald, and it's beautiful. It's full of grass and different surfaces. We've had a bit of a try at recreating it here, but
yeah, you can record. Press the record.
we've got going crazy here. Yeah, but it's probably not as nice as well, it's definitely not as nice as the enrichment area. But we've been really lucky to get sponsors to supporters to help to create these sort of areas for us. And in the vet room as well, we've had a lot of supporters donate to the vet room. These pups are actually as a result of one of the donations. They were born by TCI, which is a method of inseminating the girl, and the equipment that we used was donated by one of our supporters. Yeah, and I'll hand over to Karen now.
Thank you. So this litter of puppies very kindly has been brought up by Liz, who looks after this litter of puppies down in our K1 breeding centre. So Liz brought them up. There's 6 puppies in here. There's 5 black and only 1 yellow. Who's a little bit of a terror at the moment. She's running around mad.
Turn the video. No, I don't want the video on.
The mum was
No.
chosen by breeding and Arrow, which is the day. So they were born in one of our volunteer whelping and rearing families' homes, and they stayed in there till they were 6 weeks of age, where they come back to the kennels for 2 weeks, where we will do a lot of enrichment. So all these toys in here are not just to make it look pretty, they're actually here for a reason. So as you can see, one of the puppies is pulling along this this white type toy, and that's actually what we call the car wash. So the puppies can run through that, and I'll just turn it around so you can see. It's got like the car wash flaps, which is good. The puppies can feel that on their back, and they get used to having things touching their back. So when they get a harness on down the track, they'll get used to that. We've got a lot of coloured, like there's a yellow and a pink coloured tactile surface for them. Again, it gets them used to walking on things. They get used to the feel of it, so they're not frightened by anything. We've got a little wobble over there that the puppies get used to.
The white one.
She's crazy, that one. She is. We've got tunnels so they can get used to going into dark things. So if they go through a tunnel when they're working, they're okay with it. But as you can see, sometimes the toys aren't used for the purpose of what we actually made them for, but that's okay because the puppies are learning. They're learning to pull, they're learning to use their mouth rather than having a little bit of nibble on us. We'd rather than nibble on the toys. So that's why we have little toys.
Karen, I'm not sure that car is going to last long by the look of it.
I'm not sure that's going to last long.
Oh, no. We've got these called rubbers, which have been sponsored, which are really good if the puppy starts to mouth you, you can pop them over onto a toy. So the other thing we do is once these guys are 8 weeks of age, they'll go out to our puppy raising volunteers, and they'll look after them for 12 months until they're ready to come in for training. So during that time, they attend training sessions, shopping centre walks, and get the puppy, oh, there goes out. And the car wash is broken. So they get used to all that out with the puppy races. They learn to be sociable with people, with other animals. They get house trained out there. They get used to living in the home, as well as going out and being taken out to shopping centres to get used to out there public transport. So puppy races do a great job. Now we've got this little puppy over in the corner that's exploring is Bevy, and he was kindly sponsored and by Gifting Will, and without that sort of support and sponsorship of puppies like Bevy and support for guide dogs as a whole, we wouldn't be able to do what we do for our clients. So we want to thank everyone that's on here today because it's just so important for our clients and for the puppies having this sort of enrichment type area. We pop this up as like a little pop-up stall for our puppy enrichment, and it's actually been quite good because it's a different surface for the puppies. There's different noises, rather than it being quite open, it's quite close, so things will echo as well. So the puppies get used to a lot of the noises and things like that. You can see they're just quite happy to mill around. This little one at the back barking's trying to get Carol's mobile phone under the fence, so they just get up to mischief, but it's all in good fun. Right. Thank you.
Geez, that looks like absolute chaos in there, but how much fun. Karen, I have a question for you. How long have you been working at Guide Dogs for? Nope, you just got to pop yourself.
So I've been working with for 33 years, but yeah, I was very young when I started, just got to slip that one in.
33 years. I don't blame you for staying in your job for 33 years if this is what your typical day at work looks like down there with all the puppies running around. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Carolyn and Karen. I'm sure we might come back and talk to you again at the end. So there might be some questions which come through for you guys, and please feel free, everybody, just put them down in the chat if you do have some questions that come through. And I think we will want to have one last look at the puppies a bit later on. So thank you very much. Our next guest, this is always a very popular section. We're going to stay out at Glossodia. Our next guest might be familiar to some of you. So our next cross is going to be to see Mr. Eddie Sullivan. He's the Guide Dogs Operation Manager out at Glossodia. So it's his job to make sure that the quality of all the training is up to speed for our guide dogs in training. And he oversees that whole training program and makes sure we've got quality guide dogs coming out at the end. He's going to give us a bit of an insight into what it takes to train these dogs. So over to you, Eddie. How you going there, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Ryan. So I'm outdoors here at the Guide Dog Centre, and about 10 minutes ago, we had beautiful blue sky to show you, but it is a little bit cloudy now. So it has just come over a bit cloudier, but just going to switch my camera around. You'll see the lovely green, sort of fields that we have out here at the Guide Dog Centre in Glossodia. So yeah, we're very fortunate to have this space. As Ryan said, I'm the Guide Dog Centre Manager out here. Part of that involves overseeing the breeding, raising and training of the dogs. I've got with me one of our fantastic guide dog trainers, Kirsten. Kirsten is with Guide Dog in Training, Raffy. Interesting thing about Raffy, he was also a sponsor dog. And he's also sired a number of litters for us prior to coming into guide dog training. So he's been a very successful dog for us, what we call a dual purpose dog, where he's had a dual career as a breeding dog, but is also able then to come into our guide dog training program. So fantastic sort of result from Raffy. The dogs, and I'm looking at those puppies, Karen and Carolyn, and thinking we'll see those puppies in about 12 months' time. So I'm sure you'll do a great job with those in the meantime. When they come into us here at the Guide Dog Centre, they're about 12 to 14 months of age. They complete a 3-week assessment in which we look at their temperament. Carolyn checks out their health to ensure that they're the top standard for guide dogs. We complete a temperament and behaviour assessment, which includes things like their response to other distractions such as dogs and food in the environment, their response around loud noises in shopping centres, on stairs and heights, all of those things that they'll face in their career as a guide dog. Then they begin a 20-week training program with us, where they start to learn some of the specific guide dog skills that will go on to guide a client or a guide dog handler safely through the environment. So Kirsten's just going to demonstrate some of those here today. The first one is a stair, stopping at a set of stairs. So you'll see, you might hear Kirsten a click, and that she's clicking for when Raffy puts his front 2 paws on the bottom step. And the idea is that he also then stops. And she's just rewarding him with a piece of kibble at the moment. And that way he builds up a bank of rewards for stopping at the stairs. And then as training progresses, we sort of start to thin those rewards out, but he'll maintain that skill for when he goes out to a guide dog handler. So it's one of their core jobs is to stop at things that would present a hazard, which could be a set of stairs, a road edge, could be, something a could be a hole in the ground, a manhole in the ground or something like that, that indicates a hazard to the handler. And one of the, so you see Kirsten's also rewarding him for stopping at the top of the stairs. So anything that would present a hazard to the handler, the dog is taught to either stop at and indicate or to move around. So Kirsten's just going to repeat this a couple of times. Rafi's still early training, so he's still picking this skill up because it's not something that comes naturally to a dog. So we need to teach him that that's the behavior that we want. So you see Kirsten just teaching him to stay, because we want him to stay until the handler is ready to move off. Obviously, if they've come across a set of stairs, they have to determine, do the stairs go up or down? Is that where they want to be? And also the dog needs to remain still then and wait until the handler is ready to move off. So it's a good example of where the dog and person work as a team rather than it being just the dog doing it all. The person also can communicate with the dog and tell the dog when it's safe to go or when they're ready to move off. So see Rafi's starting to wag his tail too, which we really do like to see. We make sure we use a lot of positive reinforcement in our training to reward the dogs for doing what we want and showing the dogs what to do. And we like dogs that have a happy tail, have a happy disposition and really thrive in the work. So that's part of what we're looking for when we're assessing the dogs and in these early training is not just dogs that can do it, but that really thrive with the training and really get a sort of kick out of doing the skills that we teach them. Kirsten's going to move off now. We've just set up a bit of an obstacle course. So another core behavior that we need the dogs to do is to negotiate safely around obstacles. And we've got these obstacles out here at the Guide Dog Centre, but once we teach the dogs the skill here at the Guide Dog Centre, we go out into the community and we train the dogs in all sorts of environments, and we come across all sorts of obstacles and hazards, such as it will be other pedestrians, stopping for a moving car is one, so people pushing trolleys or prams, things like that. The dog has to respond to and help the handler negotiate the obstacle safely. One of the things, and again, it doesn't come naturally to the dog, is not just the dog avoiding the obstacle, but giving enough space for the handler to also safely avoid the obstacle. So you see there, when Rafi's gone out and around this obstacle here, he's provided plenty of clearance for Kirsten also, so that the handler is also safely avoiding the obstacle and not running into it. So the dog really has to learn that it's not just their body width and body height that they need to be looking out for, but they also have a person holding onto the handle who they need to give clearance to. And we're just coming up now to one of the more complex obstacles, which is when the obstacle is head high rather than down the solid obstacles that you saw before. So this could be so when we translate this out into the community, it could be something like a tree branch that's growing over the path, or maybe it's a tradies ute with a ladder sticking out the back or something like that. So we actually teach the dog to look up, which again is not something that really comes naturally to the dog. So you can sort of see Kirsten there pointing the obstacle out to Rafi and rewarding him in the beginning for just looking up and noticing the obstacle. So getting a reward there, and then ultimately she'll teach Rafi to then go around the obstacle and treat it just like a normal obstacle. So even though he could fit under it, he needs to give space for the handler to fit under it. So we have another one here, and Kirsten has the added challenge in training of, she knows she could be preparing this dog for anybody. So I'm not sure if you can see on camera, but Kirsten's maybe 5'5", but she could be training this dog for a client that's 6'5". So, so that's another added challenge for our trainers is thinking about the person that they're ultimately training the dog for. So she continues on. I'm just going to duck around the front here. Hopefully everyone can still hear me and the internet connection's okay. And then coming up to the next obstacle is a set of bollards. So tight spaces is another obstacle that we have to teach the dogs to negotiate. So these will be things like, bollards that occur out in the community to slow other pedestrians down, but the dog needs to learn to negotiate those safely as well. So that's about it from me. Towards the end of the dog's training, we go out into matching the dogs. And so towards the end of their training, they'll be matched with a client. And then at the end of their training, they'll graduate here at the Guide Dog Centre, go out to the client where one of our fantastic GDMIs will continue the training with the person receiving one of these dogs.
Eddie, it's Ryan here. Just had a question come through. What about training for other dogs? So other dogs are always out in the community. We've had someone ask, what happens there with trying to get the dog not to be distracted by other people's pet dogs?
Sorry, Ryan, I've just dropped out there.
Sorry, Eddie.
No, I've got you back.
Just a question about dog distraction. Yeah, how do we train the dogs?
Yeah, that's one of the big things that we come across and need to, when we first assess the dogs, we need to ensure that we're selecting dogs that have a good, calm, sort of confident disposition around other dogs, because we know it is something that our handlers will come across. We do try to, sort of educate and encourage the community to have control of their dogs. And give if they see a guide dog handler coming towards them, giving them plenty of space. But we know that that's not always the case, and we have to train for the real world. So we teach the dogs in the beginning that other dogs are not something to worry about. So to maybe check in with the handler when they see another dog. But ultimately, we try to reward other behaviours so that when the dog sees another dog, it also knows to continue its guiding task. So there might be an obstacle up ahead or a curb or another pedestrian. So we really teach the dogs to refocus as quickly as possible, and then so it can carry out the next skill. And also I've got to say that the GDMIs do a fantastic job with the handlers as well. So the people that receive these dogs, in teaching them what to do around other dogs. So again, it's not just the dogs, but it's also the handler. So they will be able to sort of pick up things that might indicate that there's a distraction around, and they can communicate with their dog, maybe just by calling their name or giving them a command to move on. So it's, again, a bit of a team effort.
That's great. Thanks so much, Eddie. It's such a fascinating insight into what goes on out there at the centre. I'm sure everyone will agree. It's really amazing watching. I know in my job as a guide dog mobility instructor, it's my job. I'm privileged. I get these dogs when Eddie and his team have finished all the training, and I go out and match these dogs with the handler, and then I teach that handler how to use their dog. And that takes about a month when we first match that dog up. It takes about a month of training with that person to get them up and running with their dog and moving through. Thanks very much, Eddie. We're going to keep moving on. No more questions have come just yet for you, but we have had one. How do you match the dogs to clients? I can answer that. So a lot of thought and time goes into matching the dog with the handler, with the client. We don't just take the next dog that's finished training and then match them off with whoever's ready to go. We look at different personalities. What's going to work? If we've got a dog with lots of energy that likes doing long, hard days, and we'll match that with a person who might work in the city and have a busy lifestyle, and vice versa. If we have a nice, calm dog, that might be matched with somebody who has maybe a little less strenuous lifestyle, likes to go down for a coffee once a day and all the rest. So we look at personality and needs of the client. So a lot of thought goes into that to make sure that we do get it right. I'm just going to have a shout out to our next guest, Liz. Liz, I've been told that you've accidentally been put on mute. So you're going to have to put yourself on unmute there, and we'll come back to you in a moment when you've done that. I've also had another question here come through. It was, how do you get to work at Guide Dogs Australia? I think the journey is different for everybody who works for us. I can speak from my personal experience. I started off I was living in Victoria, and I started volunteering down in the kennels. This is probably about 12 years ago now. So I was feeding the dogs, looking after the dogs. And then I knew the job I wanted to do, what I do now. So I actually had to go back to university and do some studies. So I studied a thing called orientation and mobility. And that is orientation, where am I? And mobility, how do I get to where I want to go? So that is the art form of teaching somebody who is blind or has low vision how to travel through their environment safely and confidently using other senses and mobility aids such as a long cane. And then after that, after I'd finished my studies and was qualified, I came up to New South Wales for a conference and I harassed the boss. So that was how I got my job. Basically harassment of the boss until she said yes and gave me a job. And it's been a long journey since then, but everybody's different. But there is always jobs being advertised on our website if you are interested. All right, I'll get back to some more of these questions after, but speaking, I was just talking about clients and matching the dogs. We've got Liz Wheeler. Liz is one of our clients and she has her guide dog, Poppy. I always love hearing from Liz. There's nothing quite like hearing firsthand the impact that these dogs have on somebody's life. So I'm going to hand it over. I'm sure you'll all have a great time listening to Liz and Poppy, of course. How are you going, Liz?
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here today and be able to have this technology to get here. Poppy's already had a really busy morning this morning with me. She got me down through our local neighbourhood to the gym where she sat patiently while I had my support worker help me do some training. And then we went off to the cafe after that where she did a really good job. And then as a reward, because it hasn't been raining where I am in Western Sydney, she got to go to the dog park where she chased the ball. And because she's half Labrador, half Retriever, she only brings the ball halfway back. So there you go. But I guess just to share a little bit about myself, I have a rare eye condition known as retinitis pigmentosa, and it's a degenerative and hereditary condition that's been taking my vision slowly since I was diagnosed at 18, so it's probably been taking my vision for some time. It starts from the outside and it goes in, and at the moment I probably have maybe a 50-cent pieces worth of vision. So it's very, very, very little vision left. And it's quite blurry and, you know, very, very difficult and completely unreliable when it comes to getting out and about in the community and doing all the activities and things I like to do. So that's why for me, a guide dog is so important. Poppy and I were matched coming on for 6 years. And she's now 7 and she's still as enthusiastic as ever for her work. So she's doing a really, really good job. And she came to me after my vision had deteriorated to a point where I was really struggling. And things that I used to be able to do, like other people, like crossing roads, going to shops, finding products, you know, basic things had all become really, really difficult for me. And I was really afraid, to be honest, when I lost a lot of my sight. It was quite a difficult thing, and I pretty much ended up not leaving the house for quite some time unless I had somebody with me. I was really frightened. And so my dad and my husband sort of were quite concerned, and they ran an intervention of sorts and said, you need to get help. And so we called Guide Dogs Australia. And within a week, one of the lovely staff members from Guide Dogs was at my house and helping me to start getting my life back, which was just extraordinary. So we started with a white cane, which Guide Dogs still support a lot of clients with who choose to use them. And I gave that a go, and I did improve in my ability to get out, but I just never got my confidence back. I found it really difficult to use a cane and move about the world in a way that really fit my personality and the way I like to move and the way I like to operate. So it was suggested that I get a guide dog. And I put my name down and I went through my matching process, which included a really, really, really long list. So for me, when we spoke about, you know, how if I could have an imagination from this girl who barely left the house on her own to who I would like to be and how a dog might fit into that life, I wanted a dog that had confidence. I wanted a dog who wanted to leave the house even when I didn't, because I really needed someone to have that energy to get me out the door. I wanted a dog with a sense of humour, a dog that liked to get up early. As I mentioned, Poppy's been up since about 5:30 this morning to go to the gym. And just a really, really sort of playful, fun personality. And they gave me Poppy and she's been perfect. So within 6 months of having Poppy, my life had turned around. I'd gone from not wanting to leave the house to having this bundle of fur that was just, let's get out of here. So it's really hard to, you know, not get on with your life when you've got this little critter who thinks it's awesome. And with her by my side, I got the confidence to start travelling all the way into the city using public transport and started doing study and retraining to become a counsellor. And, you know, things just grew from there. And now, you know, nothing holds me back. My husband's often saying, you're doing too much, Liz. And I say, never. and we're off. And even so much so, even with COVID, we've had to adapt, and that's been quite fascinating because people with vision impairment and blindness are, by nature of our condition, terrible at social distancing because we can't see to keep 1.5 meters away. But the community's been great in supporting that. Somehow, they're just extraordinary guide dogs, the things they pick up on and the way things change. Somehow she has figured out this whole stand 1.5 meters or whatever away from people. So if we're queuing now at the coffee shop or at the shopping centre or anywhere where you need to queue, she has naturally fallen into the new societal norm and leaves quite a large gap between people. And it's extraordinary how they can just naturally pick that up. Occasionally people have commented, even when we're in the supermarket, that she's stopping on the dots. Amazing. So they're just very, very clever at sort of taking things on and adapting. And she's so trustworthy and so reliable. In December, as I finished up my studies for the year, I hadn't been able to go and visit my brothers and my adorable little nieces and nephews for a very long time, and I was missing them terribly. And I really wanted to go all the way to Brisbane to see them. And my husband, Dennis, wasn't able to make it. And I said, that doesn't matter. I've got my guide dog, Poppy, and we can do this on our own. And he sort of went, all right, because he knows by now there's no stopping me. And sure enough, Poppy and I got onto our plane and we flew up to Brisbane, and we arrived and all was well. And then we had our cluster breakout, and the borders were, things were changing and borders were closing as we were up there. But we still managed to have our lovely time with our family and spend time with the children. And when we were coming back through Brisbane Airport, Poppy's quite familiar with it, even though she hadn't been there really in over a year because of COVID. She was still able to leave my brother and his small children at the gates and head through security. And then she took me to our usual toilets. They have a guide dog toilet at Brisbane. So she took herself to the toilet and then took me to the toilet where a police officer who was working met me, Officer Mike, and he showed us to our gate. And when we got to the gate, I gave Poppy a piece of food so she knew it was a special spot. And we had an hour and a half, so we went off in search of coffee. And Poppy knows what coffee is, so I just asked her that, and she goes and she sniffs it out and finds a cafe. And that was great. And then as we were walking back through, Officer Mike spotted us and he came over and he said, do you need help to get back to your gate? And I said, no, Poppy knows exactly where she's going. And he was just amazed to watch this guide dog basically get through a really complex airport when he sees people with full sight unable to find their way through. So I felt very, very lucky to have Poppy by my side, and to really enable me to go and visit my family, because I think it might have been a little bit too complex if I didn't have my gorgeous guide dog there to help me do it. Locally, we've had a few challenges recently. We live in an area where they're putting in the light rail. So every street is dug up, things are blocked off. If you thought those obstacles were complex, light rail construction is a real challenge, but Poppy's totally up to it. We had to go the other day to an appointment that meant actually crossing through some of the roadworks. And as we approached, Poppy sort of let me know that it was blocked off. And I thought, okay, well, I know I need to go right and cross the road. So I'll see if she can find where they put the makeshift crossing. So I asked her, and I felt her trotting, and she had a real confidence in her trot. So I sort of knew she had it figured and she knew where she was going. And then she sort of slowed and sort of indicated. And I think, like Eddie mentioned before, there was a step in front. So I stepped down and I knew, okay, we're at the crossing point and we're crossing the road. And then we started to take some steps forward when I heard cheers and applause. So there were construction workers there who had paused and were considering helping us. And they realised that my guide dog was amazing and had been standing back, keeping an eye, but allowing her to do the beautiful work she did. And when they saw that she had figured it out, worked the way through, and was safely getting me across their crossing area to the other side of the road. I should mention there's no traffic, it's all construction. So when I'm saying I'm crossing a road, I'm crossing complete construction to the other side. So she got a round of applause for her brilliant work the other day, which is just wonderful. And I just wanted to mention too that Poppy is actually a bequest dog as well. So she was left in the will by a lovely couple by the name of Lynn and John. And they chose Poppy's name. And so she was named after their Labrador. And she's also Poppy with an I because she's named after their favourite Italian city. And we're really grateful to them for leaving such a huge and generous gift. Lynn had left a video that explained why she wanted to make a difference with guide dogs, and she really did. She changed my life. I get so emotional, I'm sorry. She changed my life. She gave me a better life, and so I'm really grateful for that. I'm really, really grateful for Poppy. So thank you to everyone, the staff on this call, and everyone who's on this call today who supports people like me to raise puppies like this. Thanks, Ryan.
Oh, thank you so much, Liz. It's always so lovely to hear from you, and it's always new and exciting stories coming from your life with Poppy as well. We've had some things come through here on the chat as well, which I'd like to keep you on the line to answer. First of all, we had a fan of yours on Facebook. So if anybody out there does have Facebook, it's Poppy the Guide Dog on Facebook, and you can follow their adventures there. But a couple of questions along this same theme, actually, Liz, which we do get a lot, and I'm sure you get a lot, about how we should be helping somebody who is a guide dog handler. The first one was quite specific. They were in the park, and somebody was coming through with a dog off leash, and this dog actually came over and started attacking the guide dog. First, I wanted to know what they think their best response should have been to assist in that situation.
To be honest, I think safety would have to come first. So if there is an imminent dog attack, as you mentioned, we get a lot of training, and we do get trained about how to handle if an attack might be occurring. So in that situation, I would be looking to protect myself and allowing Poppy to protect herself. Her personality would probably be very much a runner. So it would literally mean for me dropping the harness, dropping the lead, and allowing her to have an opportunity to flee and find safety for herself. And then I guess in that situation, if anyone from the public could follow her and bring her back to me, or get her straight to a vet and alert me as to where she's going, that would be very, very appreciated. If it's often for me when, I know that sounds terrible, but it is true, often when Poppy is attacked by off-lead dogs, they're smaller dogs. So I think people have this perception that maybe their little dogs aren't going to, you know, be a bother off lead in places, but they tend to have this reaction, and particularly with guide dogs who, because they're trained to behave differently, as was mentioned before, other dogs don't always understand it. And if that's the case and you can intervene and remove the dog, that would be appreciated too. But you do need to look after your safety, and then coming up and offering assistance is always appreciated. But it's a very complex situation, and I think really the very best thing we can do is avoid those situations altogether and have our pets on leads in public areas so that we can keep all of the animals safe and ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice there, Liz. You answered that really well. And just one more quick one. It's one we also get a lot. Protocols of talking to a guide dog handler and the guide dog. So can you answer that one?
So the big thing is you can talk to a handler as you would any other human being. So we quite like when we get to interact with the public. When talking to us, probably the only thing you might want to do is mention your name, particularly if you know the person. So it's quite common at the local cafe, people will come and say, "Hi Liz, how are you going?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm great, and you?" "Good, good, good." And they'll walk away. And if I haven't had enough familiarity with them to catch their voice, I'll be sort of turning and going, "Who's that?" So that would be the main thing. Talking to a dog is also a distraction. So when they're working, the best thing you can do for a guide dog who is on duty is ignore them. So I normally say no touching, no talking to, and no feeding is the other one I normally add in. And I always sort of have a little joke with people. If you wouldn't do it to your bus driver while they're working, don't do it to your guide dog. So if you're not going to sort of call out to your bus driver and try and get their attention while they're, you know, driving along and whatnot, it's sort of the same for the guide dog.
Yeah, that's great, Liz. I might also add in eye contact with the dog. It's something I see a lot when I'm out working with handlers. People will come up and say, "Oh, I know I'm not allowed to touch the dog," but they'll be crouching down and looking the dog in the eye. And this is quite distracting as well because dogs love making eye contact with people. So I'd add that one in as well. But thanks again, Liz. Rob, did you want to say something there?
Just agreeing.
Okay, good. Yeah, thanks so much. As I said, Liz, it's always a pleasure to have you along. You do such a great job. So thank you very much. Moving right along, we've got our last guest for today. It's last, but certainly not least. It's somebody who I think a lot of you would be familiar with. It's our General Manager of Planned Giving, Sally Biles. Good morning, Sally.
Oh, good morning, everyone. And thank you, Ryan. And thank you, Liz. You're always just such an inspiration. It's captivating, hanging off every word. So thank you again. I'm also here today at the Guide Dog Centre, and I'm actually sitting in front of the honour wall. And this wall recognises people who have included a gift in their will. And unfortunately, these are people that we can no longer thank in person, but of course we will always thank all of those people. And I know many of you today on this call have found it in your hearts to include a gift in your will. And really, I want to thank you again, cannot thank you enough on behalf of all our clients and all the staff at Guide Dogs. Thank you so much for making that enormous decision in your lives to do something so kind. And coming back to Liz, you heard from Liz just how much Poppy has changed her life. And of course, Poppy was made possible because of Lynn and John, who included a gift in their will. And we also had the pleasure to meet the delightful Bevy. Now, that was just wonderful, wasn't it? Meeting all those puppies today. And Bevy's journey, which has just begun, has also been made possible because of a gift in will from a very kind man, David Henslow. So I really just wanted to say today that we know that it costs more than $50,000 to breed, raise and train our guide dogs. And I'm hoping today that having had a glimpse of the puppies and what the puppy development team do and meeting our vet, and then seeing some guide dog in training and having that up close and personal glimpse of that, you can understand just how much work is involved over those 2 years. What is remarkable is that more than half of our guide dogs are actually made possible because of people who have included a gift in their will. It is just extraordinary. And what's adding to that to make it even more extraordinary is that more than 80% of our funding needs come from people like you. So you can absolutely understand our reliance on community support. So you make so much of what we do possible. And, there's no doubt that everyone deserves the opportunity to lead an independent life of their choosing. So now coming to the morning tea box, I wanted to say the morning tea box is a gesture and a small token of our appreciation. I have to say we absolutely loved getting out and about yesterday, catching up with you. I delivered 9 boxes yesterday and was able to meet all but one person and have a chat, and so interesting hearing your stories and the number of people you may know who have a guide dog and why you support guide dogs and your stories, which is so important as being part of this community and part of the guide dogs family. And as Dale mentioned earlier, we'd love to be having these events face to face, and we will. We're hoping maybe in May and June to be having a couple of events actually face to face. And I think one of the biggest differences for us is normally I'm sitting here in reception and we have face to face events. What's different today is we don't need to do that handbag check. We always have to do a handbag check to make sure those puppies are not slipping off outside, little strays. And in that place, of course, we've given everyone a little plush puppy as a memento of today's event. Last but not least, I was just blown away to be told that we have 16 people on the call today who have actually been donating and supporting guide dogs for more than 30 years. 16 people today. And a special mention to Gwen Hewlin today, who has been supporting guide dogs for nearly 45 years, which is just extraordinary. So again, thank you everyone for making so much of what we do possible. And I'm so pleased that you've been able to join us today and all the support with technical issues. And I really feel as though, you come into the home here at the Guide Dog Centre, and we've also come into your homes, and it's just been a wonderful experience. Thank you all again. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks very much, Sally. Always great to hear from you also. And I'd like to echo those words of thanks to all you supporters. On a personal note, I've got the best job in the world, and it's not a job I would be able to do without your support. So thank you so much, everybody out there. There was one last question came through. How long is a dog's working life? The dogs typically work from between 8 to 12 years, somewhere within that range. The dog will always tell us when it is time. I think we've just got, as we're signing off, we've got one last image out there with Carolyn and Karen. We look at that, all the puppies have now gone to sleep. Yes?
Yep, even crazy Kenny.
I'm not surprised after all the energy they burnt earlier. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. That's just about us. We've run exactly to time, so we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you so much all for joining us. And as
we were sorry our computer blacked out. We missed most of it.
Oh, look, what we can do is get the recording to you. We have recorded it. If anybody had any issues, just let us know and we'll be able to get it out to you so you can see what you missed out on. We had a lot of fun bringing this to you. I hope you enjoyed the event. Thanks for all the kind words coming through in the chat as well. Until next time, thank you. Stay safe and goodbye and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It was fabulous. It was fantastic. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Good. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation.
Good morning.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, hello. That's
Bye, Rafi.
Everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Rafi, do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Bye-bye, Raph. Hi, Rafi.
Hi, Rafi.
Rafi.
Bye, Rafi.
Bye,
Thank
bye
you.
everyone.
Bye, Rafi.
Goodbye, Rafi.
Bye, Rafi.
Beautiful.
You might see yourself without seeing you.
Yeah, okay. So what do you do? Leave now, do you?
Leave, just leave.
Just leave.
Leave. We just.
Leave meeting. Hit the leave meeting button.
Oh,
Like
Gorgeous, gorgeous. All gone, all worn out.
Gone to sleep.
like as if someone's pressed the button sleep and they've just gone.
It's going to be short term.
Okay, ready to go? No.
Oh, that's so cute, so cute.
Amazing.
Just where they lay. Went to sleep anywhere.
Anyway, so that was what the question was.
Where's this?
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Stop video.
Hello.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Sally.
Lovely day.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad you enjoyed it.
Very special. Very.
Oh, Kathy, I'm so pleased you enjoyed it.
Yeah. And a lot of trouble to get us the morning tea, so that was really appreciated.
Oh, well, we loved having the opportunity of catching up with you all. That's what's important. That's the
They did a great job of getting it to me yesterday, so and leaving me messages. So thank you to her.
Oh, yes. No, I'm so pleased that all worked out.
It did, yes.
Good. That's excellent.
The whole thing was very touching. So great start to the day.
Yeah, oh, good. Made your day. So it carries on. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Judy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Was good. We could see.
You're right for me to close the room, Sally, or?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, bye everyone. I'm now going to shut
everyone.
Bye.